I'm joined by Geraldine D'Amico, who is the curator of this year's Folkestone Book Festival. So, Geraldine, are book festivals for everyone?
Absolutely. Book festivals are for everyone, and it's definitely the way we program this one, trying to have events that will appeal to all sorts of people, whatever their interests, whether it's history, science, literature, or just coming for a good discussion, a good debate. You don't have to be a big reader to enjoy a book festival. You have to want to listen to stories, and you want to possibly want to also join the conversation.
So tell me about this year's book festival. Is there a particular theme behind it?
There's no particular theme, but what is important to me this year is that we have decided to have the book festival around the time when we switch on the Christmas lights. And this is for a very simple reason, which is that to me, a book festival is something that brings light, enlightenment into the darkness. And I kind of liked that image, that metaphor, if you want, of when you switch on the Christmas lights at the time when the nights are long, it's the darkest time. And in the same way, listening to people discussing ideas or taking part in debate is a way of bringing light into our lives. It's also the other image that comes to me, and which we're trying to establish. You'll see the way we're setting up the stage at the Quarter House, which is different from other years, is also this idea of sitting round the fire or by the fire and listening to stories. So again, this idea of community and coming together at a time when it's dark outside and it may be chilly, and it may be a time when maybe you don't want to come out to the quarter, to the creative quarter, but we're trying to encourage people to come and be together and feel the warmth.
It sounds a little bit more informal than previous book festivals. Is that a correct description?
Some of the sessions will definitely be more informal if you think that having Q&As, discussions, more than simply presentations, is being more informal. And it's also, we've got an open mic. It's also inviting people to come and read their works. Yes, so from that point of view, I suppose it's more informal.
And I see, looking through the programme, you've got several sessions which are going to invite quite a lot of debate and discussion amongst the audience. Talking about that, we've got the programme in front of us. Let's go through and look at some of the things that you're putting on. Mm-hmm. Now, going through the first few days of the programme, I see, we've got Kate Adie, well-known journalist who's been all over the world and had all sorts of people shooting at her and so on, well-known for wearing a flak jacket on TV.
Yes.
Now, I understand that her talk is sold out,
yes.
But tell us a little bit about a few of the other things that are on in the first few days of the festival.
Well, yes, I think that one thing which is probably fairly original for a book festival is that we start with a play. We start with our new production of As You Like It. And I think that gives a good idea that a book festival is also about entertainment and just, sitting back, relaxing and listening to a good production of a play. Kate Adie is coming to talk about the legacy of women in World War I. And I was very aware this year when I programmed that we are going to already start the commemorations of World War I, but I decided to take it easy for this year. But we've got a talk on 1913, which I think is going to be very important to put things in perspective.
1913?
Yes, 1913, okay. Putting things in perspective. What was the shape of the world 100 years ago, just before the war started? We have Dorothy Kumsand coming. I mean, she's quite an important writer. She's the biggest selling black fiction writer in the UK, and she writes this what she calls emotional thrillers which deal with issues. And I should say that probably if you, okay, we're the Folkestone Book Festival, but we could be the Issues Festival as well. If you think of it, I mean, she is talking about her new book, The Flavors of Love. But we also have Lionel Shriver, who is coming to talk about her book, Big Brother, which deals with the issue of our relationship to food. It's not about people being fat. It's also about people being obsessed with being thin. She deals with both issues.
With a lot, sorry to interrupt you, with a lot of these authors that come to a book festival, do they mainly come just to promote their book and talk about it, or are some of them actually incredibly passionate about the issues that they write about, and they come and use it as a kind of platform to air and discuss their views?
Yes, I'm sure it's the case for Melissa Benn, for instance.
Now, she's on later in the festival, isn't she?
Yes, and she has written about bringing up daughters today and how we should prepare young women for life in the 21st century. So I think that she is definitely a campaigner, if you want. Joe Glanton, obviously, who writes about his experience as a soldier who joined to fight in Afghanistan, and then after a year there decided that he didn't want to go back because the war was wrong. Again, he wrote his book to put out his point, and this is not just book promotion, far from it. It's to get the conversation going. Same thing with Shiv Malik and his book Jilted Generation, about the way young people today are paying for the mistakes of their parents' generation.
I read it recently. It's absolutely fascinating and contains a lot of information, a lot of facts that backed up things that I've kind of wondered about and suspected all along, in terms of why is the housing situation as it is, and why are young people in the financial state that they are compared to people of my generation. I'm in my early 40s, and I've got my own house. I'm lucky to be in that situation, but a lot of younger people find it incredibly difficult. They're saddled with debt from university or college or whatever. And it's difficult for them to get on the housing ladder, and so on and so forth. It's an absolutely fascinating book, and so that's one of the key debates, I think, for me. That's Shiv Malik, who is on Saturday the 23rd. Around lunchtime, 12:30 p.m. in the Quarterhouse. Now, in terms of the other kind of, let's say, debate-focused events that you've got on, could you pick out one or two for me that you think will be particularly dynamic debates?
Yes, absolutely. The debate is going to be dynamic if the audience joins in, and I'm sure that we've chosen some topics which will invite the audience to join in, maybe in a heated way. God Bless the NHS, Roger Taylor's book title, is a very important book about why, I mean, he's trying to explain why he thinks that the NHS should be reformed. At a time when obviously everybody loves the NHS and everybody is very defensive of it. And there's not a single day at the moment when you don't turn on your radio or open a newspaper and see that the government has come up with a new idea about how to make the NHS work better. And I found, reading his book, I found it absolutely fascinating. You know, for instance, he explains, and you may or may not be convinced by his arguments, but he explains why A&E's departments are being shut all over the country, and why it's better not to have your local A&E, but to have one which is maybe further away from you, but which will be better equipped, etc. And I think that's a very important discussion, and it's going to. We are also, I mean, you know, going back to Shiv Malik, I mean, it also has a lot to do with the economic situation we are in, and this is the other side of the story, that we we've got an aging population. We don't have unlimited resources. So there are more and more demands on the NHS, on doctors, etc. How do we cope with that? And I think that's a very, very important debate. And I hope many people come. I hope many doctors and nurses also come to that event and join in the discussion.
And is that how you actually see these events going? Would you like to see a load of people in the audience, passionate, perhaps even angry, standing up and making their points and almost arguing with each other at this event in the courthouse? Do you want it to be a passionate sort of book festival?
I do, absolutely, as long as people listen to each other. That's the important thing, is you come, you make your point, but you do listen to what other people have to answer. And you don't just come to make statements, but you come to have a discussion. So, yes. Another debate is the one on religion and atheism. And I think that it's interesting that we've evolved, we've moved on from the the total rejection of religion, and I think that there is a trend now where people say, well, actually, maybe there are positive things about religion, but what are they, and how can you be an atheist, but at the same time think that there are certain things that are worth keeping about religion, even if maybe it's not God. And again, I think that should be a very interesting discussion. And for that one, we have a very good panel and well worth attending.
So you've got a lot of potential debates in here. You've got a fair amount of history as well. Castles in Britain.
Yes.
There's the Trans-Siberia Railway, which I'm reading at the moment, actually, which is absolutely fascinating. I didn't realise how big Siberia was, actually.
Yes.
It's about the same size as the whole of North America, and they put a railway across it, and there's a book about it being discussed in the festival.
Yes, and by someone who is not just interested in the history of railways, but also might become, who knows, the next mayor of London if he has his way. So that's also interesting. There's also the Kate Perry Fry's diary. She was a suffragette, and what's particularly interesting is she was a suffragette in this part of the world. She was campaigning in Folkestone and around, and I think there are very few diaries as detailed as her diary, and so that should be very interesting. Some of the history obviously has strong connections to Folkestone. Graham Farmillow's book on Churchill and the bomb. I don't know if people are aware, but that Churchill was very much influenced by H.G. Wells, who lived in Sandgate. So there is a very specific connection, and that's one of the reasons why we have.
I had no idea. That's fantastic. And also, I see you've got a talk by Bob Preedy. He's one of the presenters here on Academy FM.
Yes.
And he's talking about the local history of Sandgate. Yeah, he wrote a book about that recently.
And Anthony Beaver on World War II.
Yeah, that's fantastic. There's a lot in this year's book festival. Before we finish, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to list a few of the different subjects that are covered. I'm not going to list a load of dates and when talks are on, because it makes sense for people to just go on the internet and find out exactly when things are on. But we've got Kate Adie. Sorry, that's sold out. I shouldn't have mentioned that. We've got the NHS with Roger Taylor, Churchill and the atomic bomb, Jane Austen, Doug Scott, legendary mountaineer, coming with a load of his photos as well.
Almost sold out.
Almost sold out, but he's raising money for his Nepalese charity. Castles in Britain. Poetry, family reading and writing workshop, Second World War, Joe Glenton's talk about from promising soldier to rebel, trains, Sandgates, Lionel Shriver, getting towards the end here, Doctor Who, A Town Unearthed about the digging up of the Roman villa in Folkestone, Jim Bob, the frontman from the rock band Carter USM. That will be probably hysterical. So that's an idea of what is in the festival. You can find out more if you're listening. Just go online. You can find out more about that. Now, finally, Geraldine, in terms of people finding out about what's going on and also supporting the festival. You've got a friends organisation.
Yes, we've got a
Tell us about that.
Lovely friends organisation, very helpful, and really we really appreciate their support. They also organise an event which is open to everybody. You don't have to be a friend to take part, but it is to support the festival. A quiz night, which is on Tuesday night, and which is always a lot of fun. Yes, if you look online or if you want to email them, it's info@flitz.org.uk, and they're great supporters of the festival.
Okay, Geraldine, thank you very much. If people want to find out more about the book festival and what's on, I've just seen the website on the front of the programme. It's folkestonebookfest.com. I'm sure you'll find that if you Google it. Geraldine, thank you for coming in. I hope you have a successful festival.
Thank you. See you there.